Well, I wanted to find out where the so-called Congress thinks that they have the power to regulate firearms. And it's the same crap that I thought it was, but nobody would tell me. Alright. Okay, let's see. Just a little bit, so I can get it in there for you. It says Congress has broad authority pursuant to the Commerce Clause to enact laws in areas that may overlap with traditional state jurisdiction. As such, Congress has passed complex statutory provisions to regulate the possession, receipt, transfer, and manufacture of firearms and ammunition. Generally, courts have upheld the validity of the firearm law pursuant to Congress' commerce power. However, the courts have been confronted with the question of whether federal law can be applied to interstate possession and interstate transfer of firearms, or whether such application exceeds the authority of Congress. And it goes on and on, and what they're doing is trying to cover their tracks. The U.S. Constitution specifies the enumerated powers of the federal government. These powers, however, have been interpreted broadly as to create a large potential overlap of state authority. Well, get the hell off of the state authority, people. What you're trying to do is create a tyranny. You want a kingdom. Well, it's not going to happen. You know, a long time ago, to illustrate the enumerated limits of power, consider that the General Welfare Clause of Article 1, Section 8, where the passage containing the clause to be read simply as authorizing Congress to tax and spend money for the general welfare, as some read it today, Congress would have been granted all but unlimited power in the enumeration of all other powers. They would have no purpose. The passage must be read and permitted spending only for enumerated ends, and that the clause restricts such spending that the general welfare only and to the welfare of particular parties. Also, the power given Congress to regulate commerce among the states could not have been a power to regulate anything that affects commerce, which is in principle is everything. That would have made it pointless to have any limits in enumerations. Rather, the Commerce Clause was meant primarily to retain state power to ensure the free flow of goods and services among the states. Congress was given the power to regulate such commerce to make it regular. These limitations are also reinforced by the Necessary and Proper Clause, which limits what is available to Congress, and those are only that are necessary, and executing enumerated powers. Without such means, the enumerated powers would not exceed, or it's only proper for a government to watch out for the liberty. The writings all state in your Federalist Constitution and your Federalist Papers, founders intended the doctrine of enumerated powers to be one of principal defense against overbearing government. If they had no power to do something, the government could not hardly abuse any of this power. That's why the Bill of Rights was added in 1791 to cause greater caution. Because no such bill can list all the rights of the Ninth Amendment, the enumeration of the Constitution of certain rights should not be constrained to deny or disparage others inherited or retained by the people. Now here you got this nitwit government saying that, well, it was Congress. It wasn't Congress. It was your Supreme Court that gave the doggone Congress back in 1930s this thing called interstate commerce. It's not listed in the Constitution as interstate commerce. It's only listed as commerce. And they try to interpret it as meaning something that it doesn't mean at all. Congress has no power over firearms. Now, I've told you before about go read your Bill of Rights. The preamble to the Bill of Rights. The convention of a number of the states, having at the time of their adopting the Constitution, expressed a desire in order to prevent misconstruction or abuse of its powers, that further declaratory and restrictive clauses should be added, and as extending the ground of public confidence in the government. This will best ensure the benefits and of the institution. You know, it says Congress shall make no laws, and okay, and the second one says, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That means, people, and I'm going to tell you this again, that passage there, your preamble to the Bill of Rights and your Second Amendment, it states that Congress is constitutionally barred from infringing upon your rights. Period. And this idea of the Supreme Court saying, well, interstate commerce gives them that power. No, it does not. If it's not listed, spelled out, it doesn't exist. Now we're going to go over to wait a minute, I need to go back here a minute. Because I want to make sure that you guys have a copy of that. Okay, now let's go, hang in there, people. I know I'm kind of getting you all over the place here. Just bear with me, as this is important enough not to go too fast. We're going to go to the 10th Amendment Center. This guy knows the Constitution pretty good. What he has here is all guns should be undetectable to the government. They have no reason to regulate firearms whatsoever. Period. I'll put a link to this in there too. Hang on, we've got one more to go. What these judges have done, people, they decided to become the law themselves. They're bypassing the Constitution.
Must be presumed.
Whoa.
The instrument will be...
Whoa. Hang in there, people. Anyway, this is an act against the Constitution is void. Our Supreme Court didn't read the doggone Federalist Papers or their Declaration of Independence or anything else. They decided they could twist and turn things the way they wanted it. They were making the judges the law and not the Constitution itself. I've told you that over and over and over and over. That's what they do. So I'll put this, well, I know where it's at. Anyway, people, I'll put links to these things. What this guy is saying here, and he's going to spell it out real easy so that you can understand it. He tells things a lot better than I can. He's a hell of a lot younger, and he's got more command of it. Void. That's how many leading founders and old revolutionaries described acts that go beyond the powers authorized by the Constitution. But they don't become void in practice by merely saying so. It takes people who understand their rights and are disposed to defend them. That's us. We are the keepers of the Constitution. Those people in government only are there by our good graces. And it should be a privilege for them to be there, but it's not. They think they got a right to be there and a right to do what they want. They're not following the law. And that's how you end up with all the injustice in the United States right now. Because of these people. Any doggone judge, anyone that's taken an oath and doesn't follow it, deserves only one thing. One nice thing, they did away with lynching, but that's okay. A bullet's a lot cheaper. Does it sound cruel? No, I'm sorry. Keep breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law, and breaking the law, and breaking the law. But if some poor guy can't afford housing, he's living out in the street, hey, you throw that guy in the dumpster. You don't care. We are going to put this country back the way it was. And you better get used to that idea. It's coming. And if you're in the way, tough shit. It's gone on too long. I'm sorry, but you people are not supposed to be ignorant of the law. Apparently you're not. You're just bypassing it. You cannot bypass it. It's solid. It's a foundation. It doesn't move. Constitution says only what it says. It doesn't mean anything other than that. This doggone, if it's not expressed in the Constitution, you don't have that power. Remember that. If it's not in the Constitution, you do not have that power. But there is in the Constitution the preamble to the Bill of Rights that says they put those extra clauses in there to restrict the Congress of the United States or any other part of the government. Okay, now that you know what's what, we'll get back here and I'll put this up. Please go watch this if you can. I'll put links to all this stuff.